listening to Flirt FM, the Gold Channel.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gold Channel, the show run by me, Tom McGoldrick, every Fridays on Flirt FM. Now, normally on the channel, we talk about all sorts of things relating to movies, TV shows, and all sorts of fun stuff in the media. But today, I would like to do a little bit of a different thing, because something that I myself am a part of and trying to teach myself in is the world of marketing. And to do that, I have a wonderful individual here with me today by the name of Connor, who is working with his marketing group in his global marketing class to create their final project, which is sort of creating a new marketing strategy or report for the company Diageo's new product, Guinness 00, and trying to market that to the European market. So hello, Connor. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Tom. I'm absolutely excited to be here and to share some insights on how Diageo can successfully introduce Guinness 0 into Europe.
Well, good. I'm very excited to hear about that. I love marketing and all that fun stuff. And I love myself a Guinness. I've never had Guinness 0 yet. But hopefully, no, I haven't. No, but I'm hoping you can convince me otherwise with this lovely report.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we might even go over to Salt after this.
Hey, give it a shot over there. I'd be down for that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Diageo has multiple different options of how to enter the market into Europe. So either they could go for a simultaneous rollout into several European countries, or they could also opt for a sequential rollout in selected markets. So while the simultaneous rollout could establish Diageo as a global player, a sequential rollout would really allow them to test the product in specific markets before actually adapting to regulatory requirements, cultural differences and logistical challenges. The research that we have conducted has shown that Spain, with its growing market for low alcohol beer and the existing market that is there at the moment, and high levels of beer consumption per capita, would really be a good country to start off with. And also Germany and the Netherlands, as they are also known for their high beer consumption and also for the culture of beer, would be a great idea to go into.
No, I will say, because I have heard from a lot of people that there's like very heavy beer consumption in there. So I mean, I would say that if they didn't really take that approach, they'd be losing out on that a little bit, Yes,
absolutely. And I mean, you also have to consider that non-alcoholic beers have really risen in popularity over the last few years. So given the fact that those markets in those countries have also really grown in the last few years, that could also definitely help them to implement their strategy to moving there. But firstly, it has to be said, before implementing the marketing strategy, Diageo really needs to consider the advertising regulations and the cultural differences between the cultures. So advertising alcohol in general is very complex, and the regulations vary a lot in the different countries. So in France, for example, you can only show product information and only that can be advertised. While in Spain, for example, advertising alcoholic drinks during programs that are aimed at minors is prohibited.
I would guess at least.
No, obviously it shouldn't be marketed at them, but you can't even show it in shows that have that target audience. So Guinness 00 contains 0.05% alcohol, which is similar to most other 00 beers, which a lot of people actually don't know about even. So it's essential that they comply with the advertising regulations to avoid any legal issues that would arise. So the cultural differences and the similarities between countries also really need to be taken into account when creating the correct marketing strategy for Guinness 00. So all countries that are proposed for the market entry of Guinness 00 have different languages, they have different regulations, behaviours and also social rules. So for that reason, we would recommend that Diageo develop a separate marketing strategy for each country, just to better accommodate the differences and reach the target audience effectively.
Yeah, no, I can very much see that, because I've done a lot of stuff in terms of like with like different countries and stuff, and that is something that you really have to consider, because one thing that's okay with one place, it could be like really not okay with another place.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think like with the what you were pointing out, like with Spain, like the programs with minors, and then also what was it? It was France, where it's only the information advertised, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Which is very interesting. So does that mean that with commercials, just on a bit of a tangent here, like the commercials in France for that kind of stuff, it's like, are they not really as creative?
Well, they're probably even more creative. You kind of have to work around the topics.
Yeah, like loopholes. Okay, all right, yeah.
Exactly. Like, and I mean, this is actually really interesting that we're just talking about this. There's one example. I think it was an Ireland-France rugby match in Dublin. So Guinness was obviously one of the main sponsors for the Six Nations, and they were showing Guinness 00 advertisements, but obviously there was the restriction with showing the advertisements in French TV. So from that perspective, there had to be a cultural change in the advertising patterns as well. So there again, you see how difficult it can be. And I mean, you would probably think, if you're advertising a non-alcoholic beer, how do you even have to think about it? But then again, you've got this marginal amount of alcohol that you just
it
can't
still
get rid
counts.
of.
They're still keeping it heavy,
So
which I mean, I understand that.
I mean, especially coming from the States, probably it's similar enough over there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't really paid too much attention to it, just because it's never really come to mind. But I am very interested in like checking it out now, at least when I get back. But sort of getting back on track, in terms of the marketing strategies of Diageo with Guinness 00, obviously one of the most important parts of a marketing strategy is trying to find that target market. So what exactly is it that your group would recommend in terms of the target market? Like, is there like really specified groups that you think would be more important, or?
Absolutely, Tom, absolutely. So in our research, we have identified 3 target groups that we would be aiming the advertisement at. So obviously the first group is young adults, so people starting off with alcohol, just as they're often pressured into experimenting with alcoholic beers, and in order to promote, let's say, well-being in those countries, Guinness 00 could really try and advertise Guinness 0 as an exciting, delicious and much more healthy alternative to the normal beers, just to mix it up a little bit. Then the second target audience would be high-performance athletes who, when training, are not permitted to consume alcohol, but can really be engaged with the promotion of Guinness 00 as a refreshing and safe alternative. Guinness can achieve this by sponsoring athletes and also the teams. And then the last group would be health-conscious individuals who are very conscious about the calorie intake that they will be consuming per week, but then also don't want to drink as much alcohol. So there is a very big existing market, especially on the last group that I've identified in Europe, as non-alcoholic beers have been an option for many years. But especially for those who would be looking for a more, let's say, interesting flavoured non-alcoholic beer, Guinness 00 could really be an alternative.
Yeah, I mean, at least, like, I drink alcohol now, but like a couple years ago, I never really touched the stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly because I couldn't, but but I mean, that would have been like a great thing for me to have, just so I didn't feel too excluded from it. So I think that there definitely is like an important market for that, being someone who would have been in that market at the time.
Yeah.
And I definitely know a lot of people who...
Now, I mean, even here, we have to be conscious about the legislative restrictions. So even if we take my home country, Germany, as an example, you are allowed to purchase non-alcoholic beer from 14 years onwards. So
Really?
yes. So if we take Germany, alcoholic beers from 16 years onwards. Then if you're together with your parents, it's 14 years. But you're actually allowed to purchase non-alcoholic beer at an age of 14. So as you actually said, it would actually be an alternative. So even if you go to the bar, technically you would be able to have non-alcoholic beer. So even if you try to promote that, obviously that can go in both directions. So we have to be very conscious about that, not to overstep our position as a private company and kind of take away the authorities and also the parents' position in this decision, I suppose.
No, yeah, and obviously you don't want to cause no trouble or anything like that. But also, and then finally, like that last bit about the calories, because I'll tell you what, I mean, whenever I drink a Guinness, like that thing is like a 3-course meal. So
absolutely. And
I could do with a bit less.
And you
calories.
definitely see it on the weighing scales the next morning. I can tell you.
So, it is good that it's a lot more focused then. That is good to see that that's definitely, because I can very much see those being very realistic target markets for that, and more specified.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a growing market. Like, it is getting bigger and bigger and
so
more.
you could probably
important.
even find even more eventually.
Of course, like those would just be like for the initial marketing campaign, let's say, the first step to go ahead. But there's obviously various different markets that you can also pipe into at some stage.
Speaking of sort of the entry to the market, so obviously you need to introduce the product to all these different European markets. So like in terms of like distribution channels and sort of just like bringing it to these markets, is there anything that your group has kind of figured out or has like a recommendation on?
Of course, Tom. So in order to successfully introduce Guinness Zero to the European market, we need to consider various factors. So, of course, we have to consider the local culture, consumer demand, and also the marketing strategies that we have. So one important factor to consider is where do people often drink in each market. For example, in Germany, one of the world's biggest beer markets, most people would be consuming their drinks either at home or in the bar, obviously, and also alcohol-free brews make up for 8% of the total beer consumption here. So there again, it is important to find the right places where to serve it. So, like, I mean, if we take Germany, where are we selling General Guinness? We're not selling Guinness in an Italian restaurant. So, well, it sounds like a logical conclusion, but
hey, don't knock it till you try it. All right, I'll sell you
would
that.
be an idea, so maybe we should go for it. No, but
No.
realistically, you will be looking for either Irish pubs, which we have a lot in France, in Germany, but also in Spain. Then that's obviously a natural target market where you can go for. But then even in the summertime, outside locations, as the Guinness 0.0 is a little bit lighter to consume, there's definitely many other places for the distribution channels where you can tap into.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the idea of like Irish themed pubs and other places. I mean, I can speak, from America. We have more. Whenever you hear pub, like we call them bars, but like there are pubs which are just specifically Irish themed bars.
Yes.
And we have a lot of those. Like I think there's like 3 or 4 just in like my hometown alone, which is weird because it's a high Italian community.
Really?
So yeah, but I mean, I guess everybody likes.
Sure,
it,
the
so.
Italians seem to like their Guinness, so in that case, the Italian restaurant
I
might
guess
be a
so.
solution.
It could be the next step. I don't know, but
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So far we have the bars or like Irish pubs. Are there any other sort of
And then finally, it would probably be sporting events.
sporting events?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would probably want to be working in very close conjunction. I mean, France, naturally, rugby, right? Guinness, rugby. That's one way to go.
True, yeah.
I mean, it'll probably be difficult enough to collaborate with the German Bundesliga or even international soccer events, but I mean, there's also a little bit more smaller sports that we have in Europe, so maybe ice hockey would be one solution. They're always looking for money, so for the right sponsorship money, it would probably be cheap enough, in fairness. So there's very various solutions that you can go for the distribution channels. And then obviously one massive advantage that Guinness has is that they have a very big infrastructure when it gets to distribution channels due to the general Guinness that they sell as well in those countries. So I mean, Guinness is available in all of those countries. So we also have existing channels that we can work on, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be foolish to not utilize that as a company, just to put that in. So I definitely see that being very effective, especially considering the alcohol-free part. So, you know, it's a lot more open to more people.
And, I mean, you just have to highlight again Guinness Zero's unique characteristics that you have, such as low calories and the carbs. And there's also research stating that non-alcoholic beers can be a very reasonable recovery drink, which then therefore can also be used as a further reason why people would be using it. So therefore we can really consider to also highlight those attributes onto the packaging of the product with highlighted wording that would really attract this type of product for the consumers that are in the target market. So to maximize the success in the local market, Guinness Zero should really be introduced through indirect distribution channels such as advertisement, as I mentioned earlier on, but then also work together with the retail stores as well, so to make sure that there is shelf space available for Guinness Zero, so that it is a very accessible drink as well. And then really have tailored slogans for every individual country, as the cultures that we have differ so much across the board.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's perfect. I especially that like designated slogan part, because I do feel like that kind of breaks in again, because it's like many different places, different meanings. Out of curiosity, do you have any in mind, at least for Germany?
I'm actually not allowed to say this, but Germans don't really like alcohol-free beer, so or at least I don't. So maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but Guinness 00, ein erfrischendes Geschmackserlebnis mit einer herben Note. How about that one?
I mean, yeah. I'm assuming what you said was positive.
Yeah, please don't put it into any translator, but...
well, you know, Connor, I think we've had a great conversation so far in terms of our, talking about your group's plan in regards to Guinness 00. Is there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of the marketing plan, the anything that you feel like Diageo should do additionally, just any more tips that you have for them, or are you guys good?
So first of all, Tom, I'd like to say thank you for having me today.
Of course.
Just my couple of last words, just to highlight again, to make sure to really do the research on the different cultures that are in question, then really make sure to promote and drive home the argument of having a healthy alternative to Guinness, even just to mix it up. Like, it doesn't have to be 100%. And as I said, thanks and have a great day, and I can't wait to have our Guinness 00 over in Salt later on.
Yes, I am. I am looking forward to it. So, well, thank you everybody back at home for listening to this very special interview episode of the Gold Channel, and I will see you this Friday, where we go over our review of the week. This review being The Lighthouse, with Willem Dafoe and Robert Patterson. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Connor, and have a great rest of your day.